So as a sustainable brand, what do you think about regenerative fashion? So first of all, I think regenerative fashion is such a big word, and it's also become quite trendy. Like first of all, if you just to understand regenerative, this is a word specifically, most likely used in agricultural sense. For example, we eat so much, we wear so much, but do we really need that much? Not only we create so much waste out of the things that we grow, we eat, we consume, and most of the time, the things that we eat and we consume, we don't even use it. So I'll give you a typical example, right? So if you're looking at the textile industry, we produce 53 million tons of textile, but we throw away 47 million tons every year. So that is a clear example of saying you produce so much fiber that what on earth are we doing and then throw away so much every single year? Like, do we really need that much? So when it comes back to regenerative fashion, I believe is actually much more related or reflected onto, let's say, production of any growing production, I guess naturally growing production of fiber, in the sense of cotton or organic cotton or bamboo or any natural fiber. So I think about regenerative fashion is a much more, first of all, a much more conscious consumptions about what we really need. And then this is a demand that we push it back to brands, to productions, to really think about, hey, I produced so much batch last time, but clearly people are not buying as much. So do we then think about, do we need that much to produce? Then it push back to, farmers or maybe, a manufacturer in between. Do they need to have the yarns available or the fabrics available, so on and so forth? So that push it back all the way. But consumer itself gotta be really educated to think consciously, do I really need that much to really, be, like, for example, I remember back in the day in Australia, I mean, it's very likely people always want to buy new clothes, but do you really wear that many? Like, you don't, right? So once you really step back and start thinking you don't need to consume so much, then it really does help the ecosystem, because if there's less demand, then there will be less demand of, cotton is needed to be grown, or less demand for, I guess, bamboo that's being grown, or maybe organic cotton being grown. And then the industry will have more time, instead of considering quantity, then it's focusing on the quality, right? And that's the key thing I believe as a sustainable brand should think about, is the quality. Because I think the industry, I think, was so focused on mass production and bulk production, because this is what we can see as beneficial for the pricing or for the profit. If we start reverse engineer and thinking how we are going to do it, then I believe there's definitely room to adjust and not to be so wasteful. And all these resources into growing the crops, water, whether there is fertilizer or there isn't fertilizer, it can be redistributed. And that's, I think, is the essence of regenerative fashion for me personally. So, next question. How will 2021 be like for us, for PHOENXT? And what will we do, or what will we bring to the fashion industry? I think this is a great question. Really, it's a great question. 2021, I won't say it's an easy year. To be honest, it's not an easy year. It's actually a challenging year ahead, but I'm very, very excited, because 2021, what will bring to me, what will be like, is that it's going to be a very busy year in PHOENXT. We're going to be working on our pilots, and we're going to release. So I'm just going to be, I have to keep it quite confidential, but we are looking to work on a pilot project right now to show the world how our technology is going to be beneficial for the supply chain. That's really, really exciting. I think it's so exciting. We've been working for 2.5 years behind the scenes, and now finally something coming out is like, finally my baby is coming out. So that is something that we're looking forward in 2021. What we're bringing to the industry is, I think, the meaning of like having these chemical recycling technologies available. That's a big step. Thinking about it, like, you know, it's not easy to build infrastructure, but that's what we're doing. I mean, look, like, even though our team was actually small, but everybody's working so hard because we all have the one dream, is to make circular fashion available. So that's what it means. And the transformations, what inspired me to have the transformation from plastic into fashion, I guess that comes down into, I guess, my experience. Because in a normal world, what I always would share with my team is that, you know, when you do something, you have to go all in and 100%. Because that's exactly what happened to me. I went all in when I was young, and then I give all I got to my job. And new job and whatever opportunity you have, you really, even though it's hard, you really get the first-hand experience, understand something, and maybe you understand something that other people doesn't. And the typical example that I had was that, you know, the plastic pan that I told you was actually made out of plastic bottle. That is quite inspirational for me, because you'll be like, oh, I never thought plastic bottle can turn into a pan. And little to say, you never thought that, you know, printer cartridges can turn into a ruler and a calculator. You'd be like, oh, how resourceful are we? That's wonderful. You know, so that is really what inspires me. Obviously, I'm no fashion designer, so, you know, having all these fun, like I guess inspirational, I guess, cut, trim, and make my own piece of clothing out of my own clothes, that's out of topic, because I'm not that creative in comparison to all the, you know, best designer in the world. But I guess what the least that we can, you know, at least contribute to this society is to think differently, because thinking differently really does trigger you do something differently. You know, you think different, your behavior is changing, and every step of the way, you're really contributing to the world for something that's positive. And I think that's the key thing for, you know, bringing transformation happen.